Lena woke before the sun. The room was dim. The alarm buzzed on her old phone. She pressed the button and lay still for one more breath. Her back ached from the late shift. She sat up, tied her hair, and checked the time again. There was no space for slow mornings. Rent was due next week. School fees were due next month. She stood, stretched, and went to the small kitchen. The fridge made a tired sound like a sigh. It had stopped working the day before. She had turned the dial, unplugged it, plugged it back in, and prayed. It did not cool. Inside, milk had gone sour. She had to throw it out. She wrote a note on a sticky pad, "Call landlord. Ask for repair." She stuck the note on the door where she could not miss it. She filled the kettle and put it on the stove for tea. The triplets woke up one by one. Maya was always first. She folded her blanket and checked her school bag. She liked lists. She had a notebook where she wrote her goals for the week. Micah was second. He moved slow but steady. He liked to fix things with careful hands. Mina was last. She was full of words and ideas, even at dawn. She talked while brushing her teeth. She could make a joke out of almost anything. "Morning," Lena said, kissing their heads as they came to the kitchen. "Toast okay?" "Toast is fine," Maya said. "We have peanut butter." "2 spoonfuls left," Micah said, looking in the jar. "We will make it work," Mina said, smiling. "We always do." They ate at the small table by the window. Outside, the sky turned from dark to pale. A bus hissed at the corner. Lena wrote a quick list for the day. Call the landlord. Ask the neighbor to keep the mail if they were late. Stop by the grocery after work. Check the after-school program sign-up sheet. She tried not to think about the bill she could not pay yet. It sat on the counter in a white envelope. She flipped the envelope face down. At 7:30, there was a knock. It was not the landlord. It was not a neighbor. A woman stood there in a clean blouse with a badge. A man stood behind her with a tablet. The woman spoke with a soft voice. "Good morning. We are here from Child Services. We got a call. We need to do a quick home check." Lena froze. The kettle clicked off. Steam rose and fell. "A call," she said. "From who?" "I can't share that," the woman said. "It could be routine. We need to see the home, check the kitchen, and talk to the children." The triplets looked at their mother. Maya's hands tightened around her pen. Micah stood up straight. Mina's smile faded. Lena took a breath. She opened the door wider. "Please," she said. "Come in." They walked through the small apartment. The woman checked the bathroom, the bedrooms, and the living room. The man tapped notes on his tablet. In the kitchen, the woman opened the fridge. The air inside was warm. "Is this working?" she asked. "It broke yesterday," Lena said quickly. "I called the landlord. I can show you the note. We have food in the pantry. We have bread and eggs and rice. I was going to buy milk on the way home." The woman nodded but typed something on the tablet. She looked at the counters. She looked at the trash. "Do you have a recent bill?" she asked gently. "Any notices?" Lena felt heat rise to her face. She opened the drawer and handed over the white envelope. It was an old bill that had gotten mixed up with other papers. She had paid part of it last month. The rest was due soon. The woman read it and made another note. The visit ended in 20 minutes. The woman thanked Lena for opening the door. "We will file a report," she said. "Someone will follow up. You may get a court date for a review. If you do, bring documents that show the children are safe and in school." "We are safe," Mina said. "My mom works hard." "I believe you," the woman said. Please answer calls from our office. And get the fridge fixed today if you can. It matters. After they left, the apartment felt too quiet. Lena leaned against the counter. Her hands shook. Maya closed the door and turned the lock. Mom, she said softly, we will be okay. Lena nodded and wiped her eyes. Yes, she said. I will fix this. Go finish getting ready. I will call the landlord. The landlord's phone went to voicemail. She left a message. Then she called again. The second time, he answered. He promised to send someone before afternoon. She insisted it was urgent. He said he understood. She hung up and tried to calm her breathing. At school, the triplets decided to gather proof. Maya went to the office for attendance records and report cards. She asked for stamped copies. The secretary liked her and printed them with a smile. Micah talked to the science teacher about a letter. The teacher wrote that Micah helped classmates and arrived on time. Mina went to the counselor for a note about the debate club and volunteer hours. She asked to borrow the printer to make copies of grocery receipts that Lena kept in a plastic bag. After classes, they met in the library. They sat at a back table. Maya opened her notebook. We need a binder, she said. Tabs for school, health, home, and money. We will put pay stubs, letters, and photos. We will take pictures of the fridge before and after repair. We will show the pantry. We will show the bus pass you by. We will show the meal plan we wrote last month. Micah nodded. I will fix the loose shelf in the pantry, he said. I can also tighten the door hinge. The apartment will look good. Mina leaned forward. We also need voices, she said. Not just paper. They should hear us. We will practice what to say. We will be clear and calm. They stayed until closing. They used the library copier. They made neat piles. They wrote small labels. They felt stronger as the pile grew. The librarian noticed and came by. You three are working hard, she said. Do you need a binder? We have some extras from last year. She brought a blue binder with plastic sleeves. The triplets thanked her so many times that she laughed and waved them away. Lena's shift ran long. The laundry machines were loud and hot. She lifted bags, sorted sheets, and stacked towels until her arms felt numb. A co-worker heard the story about the check that morning and made tea for her. It happens, the co-worker said. Keep records. Speak up. You are a good mom. When Lena reached home, the landlord's cousin was there with a toolbox. He changed a part and tested the fridge. The cool air started to flow. He signed a note that said the fridge was repaired, with date and time. Lena took a photo of the note next to the open fridge door. The triplets arrived soon after with the blue binder. They spread everything on the table. They showed attendance records, grades, letters, and photos. They even found pictures from the pantry restock last month because Maya liked to save her phone photos in folders. I will print these tomorrow, Maya said. We'll add them too. They practiced what to say. Maya would speak about school and the schedule. Micah would explain the budget and the bus routes. Mina would talk about the daily life at home. They took turns. They corrected each other gently. They cut extra words. Short and clear, Maya said. We will be respectful. A text came from an unknown number. It was from Child Services. There was a court date for a review hearing next week. The message listed the time and the courtroom number. It also said a guardian ad litem might be assigned. Lena read it twice. Her stomach tightened again. She looked at the triplets. They looked back with steady faces. We will be ready, Mina said. We have a binder. We have truth. The week moved like a slow train. Every day had a small job. Micah fixed the shelf. Lena bought milk and wrote the date on the carton. Maya called the school to ask if a teacher could attend. The counselor said she would write a stronger letter. Mina asked the neighbor to watch their mail so nothing got lost. They kept the apartment neat. They slept less and talked more. On the morning of court, they dressed simple and clean. Lena ironed her blouse with care. The triplets wore school clothes with neat shoes. They carried the blue binder in a reusable bag. The bus ride was quiet. People stared at their serious faces, then looked away. The city buildings were old and tall. Clouds sat low in the sky. It might rain later. The courthouse was busy. Security guards checked bags. The hall smelled like coffee. Names were called. People moved in and out of rooms with numbers. A board on the wall listed hearings and times. Lena found their line. The triplets stood close. They did not hold hands, but they were almost touching, like a small wall. In the hallway, a woman with kind eyes approached. "I'm Carla Ruiz," she said. "I'm the lawyer assigned to help you. I saw your file this morning. Can we talk for a minute?" They moved to a bench. Carla asked careful questions. She looked at the binder and smiled. "This is excellent," she said. "Very clear. We will show the judge your records. We will tell the story of the broken fridge and the fast repair. We will ask for services, not removal. We will ask for a home study instead of a placement. Will they listen?" Lena asked. "They should," Carla said. "We will be calm and factual. If you feel nervous, breathe and look at your children. You are not alone." A clerk called their case. They entered the courtroom. The judge sat high behind a desk. He had gray at his temples and a steady face. A nameplate said Judge Daniel Hart. He looked at the papers in front of him. He glanced at the family and then back to the file. His eyes paused on Lena's name. It was a small pause, so small it could be nothing. He cleared his throat and began. "This is a review hearing," he said. "We have a report of insufficient food during a home visit. We will hear from all sides. Counsel, proceed." Carla stood. She spoke in a clear voice. She explained the fridge failure and the same-day repair. She held up the blue binder and asked to approach. The judge nodded. She placed the binder on the clerk's desk. She listed what was inside: attendance, grades, letters, receipts, photos. She asked the court to consider supportive services instead of removal. She asked for a home study within a week. The opposing counsel asked for temporary placement. He said it would be pending services. He used smooth words that did not feel smooth to the family at all. The judge listened and wrote notes. He asked a few questions about dates and times. Maya raised her hand. "May I speak?" she asked. The judge looked at her and then at Carla. "You may," Carla said. Briefly. Maya walked to the table and spoke into the microphone. Her voice was small but steady. She said they were safe. She said their mother worked 2 jobs and still came home to check homework. She said the fridge broke for 1 day only. She showed a photo of the repair note. She thanked the court for listening. Micah spoke next, only 2 sentences, about their schedule and how they ate at school and at home. Mina ended with a simple line: "Please do not take us away. We have everything we need with our mom." The judge sat very still. He looked again at the file. He looked again at Lena. The pause came back, a little longer this time. He did not show much on his face, but something in his eyes shifted, like a light behind a curtain. He asked for a home study and set a return date. The hearing ended for the day. Outside, in the hallway, Lena let out the breath she had been holding. Carla touched her arm and smiled. "Good first step," she said. "We will prepare for the next one. Keep the apartment as it is. Keep receipts. Answer calls. I'll see you soon. They left the building into gray daylight. The sky held a promise of rain. The four of them walked to the bus stop with the blue binder. They were tired but upright. They did not know what the judge had felt in that paused second. They did not know what thought had flickered in his mind when he read Lena Brooks. They only knew they had told the truth, and the truth had been heard enough to get them time. For now, that was everything. The week after the first hearing felt long and sharp, like walking with a small stone in a shoe. Lena held herself steady. She woke before dawn, packed lunches, checked the blue binder, and went to work. The triplets went to school with straight backs and quiet plans. No one wanted to say the word placement. They said plan instead. They said proof. A message came from Child Services. A home study visit was set for Thursday at 4 p.m. The caller said the guardian ad litem would also be in touch. The caller's voice was calm. The words were heavy. Lena wrote the time on a sticky note and pressed it to the fridge. The fridge hummed now, cool and steady. She ran a hand across the door like it was a living thing. At school, the triplets kept building their case. Maya added new tabs to the binder: timeline, services, community. She made a one-page list of dates: the day the fridge broke, the day it was fixed, the day of the home visit, the day of the first hearing, and the date of the next one. She left space for the home study and results. At lunch, she asked her homeroom teacher if she could print 10 more pages. The teacher said yes and asked if Maya needed anything else. "We're okay," Maya said. "Thank you for asking." Micah took a small notebook and measured things in the apartment. He checked the loose pantry shelf he had fixed. He tightened the screws again with a steady hand. He checked the smoke alarm and put in a fresh battery. He cleaned the air vents with a brush. He wrote down the steps he took and the dates. He wanted to show that they took care of their home, piece by piece. Mina practiced speaking in front of a mirror. She cut words until each sentence was short and honest. "We do homework at the table. We take the bus together. We eat breakfast and dinner. Our mom checks our grades. She works 2 jobs and still texts to remind us to drink water." She smiled when she said the last line, so it would not sound like a complaint. It would sound like love. Carla Ruiz called and asked to meet before the home study. They met at the library after school. Carla brought sticky flags and highlighters. She read through the binder and added flags where a judge or a caseworker might need to turn fast. "You are doing very well," she said. "The visit will be careful but fair. They will look for safety and stability. They will ask questions that may feel personal. Answer simply. Do not guess. If you don't know, say I don't know, but I can find out." "Will they talk to us alone?" Mina asked. "Maybe," Carla said. "That is normal. It helps them hear each of you. You can tell the same story even in different rooms. Truth matches itself." "What about foster care?" Micah asked, eyes down. He said the words that everyone avoided. Carla did not dodge. "They could still ask," she said. "But the facts so far push against that. The fridge is fixed. The apartment is clean. You are doing well in school. We're also asking the court for supportive services if help is needed: rent, food vouchers, case check-ins. If anyone raises placement, I will push back." "Thank you," Lena said softly. She looked tired, but there was a light behind her eyes. Exhaustion had not dimmed the steady flame. That night, Lena sat at the table with a calculator. She laid out the month: rent, bus cards, groceries, phone bill, school costs, a little for emergencies. The numbers were tight. She circled due dates and wrote who to call if something slipped. Then she put the paper in a clear sleeve in the binder. "We show that we plan," she said to herself. "We show that we are not careless." On Wednesday, the guardian ad litem called. His name was Ose Mensa. His voice was warm and calm. "I represent the best interests of the children," he said. "I would like to meet everyone at your home, if that is okay. I can come to the home study too." "Yes," Lena said. "Thursday at 4. We will be here." "Good," Ose said. "I will also visit the school this week and speak with a teacher or counselor. I will write a report for the court. I look at safety, care, education, and the children's own wishes." "Thank you," Lena said. "They wish to stay with me." "I'll listen for that," Ose said. "And I'll look for proof, which I hear you already have." After the call, the apartment was a quiet hive. Maya checked the edges of papers. Micah wiped the table and straightened chairs. Mina wrote down 3 feelings on a small card: hopeful, nervous, ready, and tucked it into her pocket. She liked having the right words close by, in case she needed to pull them out. Across town, in a tidy apartment with too many law books, Judge Daniel Hart sat alone at a desk. He had a habit of tapping the end of his pen against a legal pad when a thought would not settle. He was tapping now. The case file on his desk was closed. The name on the front, Lena Brooks, rested like a small weight. He tried to remember the last time he had heard that name. A spring, many years ago. A coffee shop near the courthouse where he was a young clerk. A laugh that cut through long days. A short, good thing that ended without a proper end when he took a job out of state and changed numbers. He told himself it was a common name. He told himself to stay in his lane: facts, law, fairness. He stopped tapping and put the pen down. He did something he rarely did. He opened a storage box at the back of the closet. Inside were old things that survived too many moves: a few letters, a ticket stub, a recipe card in someone else's handwriting. He found a small note with the first name Lena and a date. He stared at the year. His mouth drew a line. He put everything back. He closed the box and shut the closet door. He stood still for a long minute, then returned to his desk and pulled the next file forward. He had to focus. He had to be careful. He had to follow rules that keep the court clean. Thursday came. The home study worker arrived 2 minutes early. Ose came with him, wearing a simple jacket and carrying a notebook. They greeted everyone and sat at the table. The worker explained the process. "I will check each room. I will ask questions. I will look at your documents. Mr. Mensa is here to listen and speak with the children." Lena nodded. "We're ready," she said. The triplets sat straight with hands flat on the table like students at a test. The worker started with the kitchen. He checked the fridge and freezer. He noted the fresh milk, eggs, vegetables, and a container of leftovers labeled with the date. He checked the pantry: rice, beans, pasta, oil, canned tomatoes, oats, spices. He looked under the sink for cleaning supplies, making sure they were safe. He checked the stove knobs and the fire extinguisher. He wrote quick notes. He moved to the living room and bedrooms. He checked smoke alarms. He looked at windows and locks. He stepped into the bathroom and let the water run for a second to test the hot and cold. He asked to see a first aid kit. Micah brought it from a cabinet. He had added bandages and antiseptic the night before and made a list on the inside cover of what to replace next time. Ose spoke with each triplet alone for a few minutes. He asked simple questions with an open face. What do you like about home? What is hard? What is one thing you wish adults understood? The answers were different but rang the same. Home was clean and small. Home smelled like tea. Hard things were money and time. They wished adults understood that they were a team. When it was Lena's turn, Ose sat with her in the kitchen. Tell me about a regular day, he said. She told him everything without decoration. Wake up. Breakfast. Walk to the bus. Work. Texts to the kids at noon. Quick call on her break. After school program. Home. Homework check. Dinner. Laundry on weekends. She did not hide that money was tight. She showed her plan for the month. She showed pay stubs and a calendar. She said she was proud of her children and scared of this case. Her voice did not shake when she said the scary thing out loud. She wanted the truth to stand up on both feet. The worker reviewed the binder. He raised his eyebrows at the neat tabs. "This is organized," he said. "Maya did most of it," Lena said. Maya smiled a little but looked down. "We did it together," she said. "We wanted it to be easy to read." The worker asked about the broken fridge. Lena showed the repair note and the photo with the date. He asked about the old bill in the envelope. She showed the partial payment slip and the plan to finish it this month. He asked about school. The triplets showed attendance and grades. He asked about community support. The librarian had written a short note. The neighbor had signed a line saying she could help with mail and emergency calls if needed. The science teacher had signed a letter for Micah. The debate coach had signed one for Mina. The homeroom teacher had signed one for Maya, describing her as quietly reliable. At the end of the visit, Osei stood. "Thank you," he said. "I will write my report. It will include what I saw here today and what I learn at school. My goal is to keep children safe and stable. Your preparation helps." The worker thanked them as well and said he would file his notes within the week. He did not say what he thought. He did not show his report. He simply shook hands and left with Osei. When the door closed, the apartment was still. Then Mina let out a breath like she had been holding it for a very long time. Micah leaned his head against the wall for 1 second. Maya took a pen and wrote "home study done" on the timeline sheet, then dotted the I with care. Lena stood in the quiet and pressed her palm to the table. "You did well," she said. "No matter what happens next, you did well." That night it rained. The city lights blurred and sharpened behind the wet window. Lena made tea and sat with the triplets. They did homework at the same table where the worker had sat. They were tired, but the tired felt clean. It felt like after a long run when your legs still ache but your lungs open wide. The next day, Osei visited the school. He spoke with the counselor and 2 teachers. He looked at attendance records on the screen, then at the printed copies in his folder, then back at the students in the hallway. He watched Maya help a younger student carry a poster. He watched Micah return a toolbox to the science cupboard. He watched Mina step away from a loud conversation to read a poem pinned to a bulletin board. He wrote small notes that captured small truths. A call came from Carla. "The follow-up hearing is set for Tuesday morning," she said. "Judge Hart will preside again. We will ask to keep the children with you and to add support services. I expect to have Mr. Mensah's report by then. Keep your routine. Keep calm." Lena thanked her and said she would. After the call, she stood by the window and watched the rain slow to a mist. The street looked washed, like a chalkboard cleaned for a new lesson. Over the weekend, they kept life normal on purpose. They cooked a simple meal and watched a movie borrowed from the library. They visited the corner shop and said hello to Sadia, the owner, who always remembered their names. They cleaned the apartment to the corners and put fresh sheets on the beds. They laughed about small, safe things. They set out clothes for Tuesday and packed the binder. Daniel Hart spent his weekend with a knot in his chest he could not name. He read through a stack of files and checked notes from 3 other cases. He ran 2 miles at the park to clear his head and failed. On Sunday evening, he sat at his kitchen table with a cup of tea that went cold. He took out his calendar and drew a small star next to Tuesday's morning docket, then shook his head and erased it. He reminded himself, every family before the bench deserves a clean mind, a clean process, and a clean record. If a past connection was real, he would follow the rules. He looked up the court's ethics guide and bookmarked the page on conflicts. He closed the laptop and sat in the quiet. Outside, a bus groaned past and settled at a stop. He rubbed his temples and told himself the simplest truth he knew: when unsure, stop and seek guidance. Tuesday arrived with pale light and a cool breeze after the rain. The triplets stood by the door with the binder. Lena checked the stove knobs and the window locks. She held each child's gaze for one long second as if to press courage into them. On the bus, they sat in a row. No one spoke. They held the same thought like a single thread. In the courthouse lobby, Carla met them with a nod and a smile that reached her eyes. "I have Mr. Mensah's report," she said softly, tapping a folder. "It is careful and strong. Let's go." They walked the long hallway together. Doors opened and closed. Names echoed and faded. The door to their courtroom stood ahead, heavy and brown, with a small brass number fixed to it. Inside, a judge would decide the shape of their days. Inside, a man would see a name that once belonged to his own past and feel the ground shift, just a little. But that was still a minute away. For now, 4 people stood outside a door, breathing in, breathing out, holding on to the same small word, together. The courtroom felt colder than the hallway. The walls were the same color, the benches the same wood, the same clock ticked above the door, yet the air held a careful silence. Lena sat at the table with Carla. The triplets sat right behind them in the first row. Ose was to the side with his folder. Opposing counsel arranged a small stack of papers and glanced at his watch. Judge Daniel Hart entered from a side door, took his seat, and gave a small nod to the room. The clerk called the case. Carla stood. She greeted the court and handed up a short packet. "Your Honor, we are here on the scheduled return date. We have the home study notes, the guardian ad litem's report, and additional documents showing continued stability." Judge Hart adjusted his glasses. "Thank you, Miss Ruiz." He looked toward Ose. "Mr. Mensah." Ose stood, steady and calm. "Your Honor, I met with the family at home. I also visited the school. The home is safe and organized. The refrigerator is repaired, with fresh food and labeled leftovers. The children are well fed and attending school daily. The apartment is small but clean. The children speak consistently about routine and care. Teachers describe them as reliable and kind. I recommend that the children remain with their mother. Supportive services could be helpful, a rent grant and food assistance. I recommend case check-ins, not removal." The judge listened without interruption. He made small notes, not many. "Thank you, Mr. Mensah." He turned to opposing counsel. Response. Opposing counsel rose and spoke in smooth tones. He suggested temporary placement to ensure stability while services are set up. He used phrases that sounded harmless from far away but heavy up close. He mentioned risk management and structured oversight. He asked for a brief period of foster care while the family demonstrated follow-through. Carla stood again. "Your Honor, the family has already demonstrated follow-through. The initial concern was a broken fridge, since repaired the same day. The home study confirms safety. School records confirm attendance and progress. The guardian ad litem recommends the least disruptive path. The law encourages the least disruptive path." Maya leaned forward and touched Lena's sleeve. Carla noticed and glanced back. "With the court's permission," she said, "one of the children would like to briefly address the court." Judge Hart turned toward the front row. His face gave nothing away. "1 minute. Keep your remarks focused." Maya stood and walked to the small stand with the microphone. Her hands were steady. "We are safe at home," she said in a clear, simple voice. "Our mom works hard. We do homework at the table. We eat together. The fridge broke for 1 day. It is fixed. We brought proof. She stepped back. Micah stood next, only a few words. I checked the smoke alarms. I fixed a shelf. We keep the place clean. He sat. Mina took a breath, then spoke very softly. Please do not take us away, she said. We have our school, our bus, our home. We want to stay with our mom. Silence settled for a second. The judge looked at each child in turn. His eyes paused, not long, but long enough for Carla to notice. He returned to the file. He flipped a page and stopped. Inside the packet was a one-page photo collage Mina had added that morning. It showed ordinary moments, the triplets doing homework, a pantry restock, a bus stop selfie with cloudy sky. In the bottom left corner was an older photo, warm with summer light. A neighborhood street fair. Booths with paper banners. A face painter in the background. In the foreground, Lena, younger by many years, wearing a simple dress and a small silver pendant shaped like a leaf. The judge leaned closer. For a heartbeat, the room fell away. He knew that pendant. He had bought it at a craft stall on a spring afternoon a long time ago. He had handed it to a woman with bright eyes at a corner coffee table. He had written down his new number on a napkin he later discovered he had tucked into a different pocket than he thought. He had left town for a clerkship in a hurry. He had told himself that some doors close and that is life. He had not gone back. He moved his gaze to the dates attached to the photos. The street fair date matched the month in his memory. He looked at the children's birthdates listed in the file. He did a quiet count in his head that made his stomach float. He moved to the medical forms. Father, unknown, no contact. He did not change his face, but his breath slowed. He placed the page down with care. He spoke in his even court voice. All right. Here is where we are. We have a home study that is supportive. We have the guardian's recommendation. We have school confirmation. He glanced at the clock, buying a breath of time. He looked at Carla and opposing counsel. Before I make any interim orders, I need to address something on the record. The room grew even more still. Even the soft hum of the air system felt louder. I am looking at this file and the mother's name, he said. It is possible that I had a personal acquaintance with Miss Brooks many years ago. I do not have certainty as to whether that acquaintance is the same individual before the court today. However, the appearance of a potential personal connection is enough to raise an ethical concern. He turned to the attorneys. I am required to avoid any situation that could create even the appearance of bias. Therefore, I am recusing myself from this case immediately. Carla nodded once, calm. Opposing counsel looked surprised. Lena's fingers tightened on the edge of the table. The triplets looked from the judge to their mother and back. Osei wrote a brief note, then looked up with the same level gaze. The judge continued, careful and neutral. The clerk will reassign the case to a different judge as soon as possible. All current conditions remain as they are until reassignment. Mr. Mensah's report and the home study will be made available to the next judge. I will not be making any decisions on this matter. He stood. We are adjourned. The gavel did not bang. It did not need to. The clerk began to move, speaking to staff in low tones. Papers changed hands. A new calendar was opened. People stood on stiff legs. The family sat still for a second longer, as if noise might break what little balance they had left. Outside in the hall, sound returned. Voices, shoes, the elevator bell. Carla guided them to a quiet corner. This is not bad, she said gently. It is careful. A judge who steps back when he feels a possible conflict is doing the right thing. A new judge will read what we have. The facts do not change. Why did he think that? Mina asked. Carla kept her voice level. He did not say more, and he does not have to. What matters is that the case continues without question. That protects you. Osei joined them, his folder tucked under his arm. I will file my report with the new judge this afternoon, he said. I will keep my recommendation the same. You did very well today. Lena nodded slowly, as if her neck were stiff. Thank you, she said. Her voice was quiet but clear. They left the building together and walked toward the bus. A light wind moved the street trees. The city looked the same as the week before, yet something had shifted in the light. They stood at the bus stop, not speaking, each holding a thought. On the bus, the triplets sat across from their mother so they could study her face. She leaned her head against the window and let the motion steady her. She had heard the judge's words. She had noticed the long pause over her name. An old memory tapped at the door of her mind. She would not open that door on a moving bus. She watched rooftops pass and counted stops. Across town, Daniel Hart closed his courtroom door after the last morning case and sat in his office. He called the court's ethics counsel. He spoke in careful sentences. I disclosed a potential prior acquaintance with a party's parent, he said. I recused. I have reason to believe I may be a biological parent. I have not contacted the family. I will not. I seek guidance. The ethics counsel spoke slowly and clearly. You did the right thing to recuse on the record. Do not preside over any part of the matter. If you choose to explore biological facts, do it privately with your personal attorney. If results are relevant, disclose through counsel, not directly to the family, and not through the court's work channels. Avoid any appearance of using your office to influence outcomes. Step back from similar cases until this potential conflict is resolved. Understood, Daniel said. He wrote those words on a notepad as if to pin them to the page. After the call, he dialed his personal attorney. They arranged for a private DNA test at a lab with a strict chain of custody process. He stressed that no one from the court would be involved. He requested confidentiality. He chose the earliest time slot. Then he opened a blank document and drafted a short memo to the court administrator. Recusal entered, potential personal connection, request to be reassigned away from family docket until further notice. He read it twice, removed adjectives, and sent it. He took a breath and looked at the photo that was not on his desk, not anywhere, only in his mind, a silver leaf in summer light. He closed his eyes for a moment, then returned to the afternoon's docket. He would do his job where he was allowed to. He would step back where he was not. At home that evening, Lena made a simple dinner. The triplets set the table without being asked. The blue binder sat on a chair like a quiet guest. They ate slowly, then moved to homework. They did not speak about the judge at first. They spoke about a science quiz and a poem and a bus delay. After dishes, they sat together in the living room. Maya looked at her mother. Do you know him? She asked, soft as a question can be. Lena folded her hands in her lap. She thought for a long second. She chose words like stones placed one by one to make a path. Many years ago I knew someone with that name, she said. It was before you were born. I lost touch. I never found a way to reach him again. Life moved. I built what we have now. She looked at each child. I did not keep a secret to hurt you. I kept on going because I had to. Mina reached forward and took Lena's hand. We believe you, she said. Micah nodded. We have what we need. Maya opened the binder and slid in the new paper from the clerk with the words reassigned to Judge Patel and a date for the next hearing. She added a small sticky note that said important, same facts. She smiled a little at her own note and closed the binder with care. The next morning, Carla called. New hearing is set for next week, she said. Same time, different courtroom. Nothing else changes. Keep doing what you are doing. Lena thanked her. After the call, She stood by the window again. The street was bright with morning. A bus sighed at the corner. A neighbor waved. The small details of life were a comfort, like familiar steps in a dance that kept the heart steady. Across the city, Daniel walked into a small, quiet clinic and signed his own name on a small, quiet form. A nurse explained the process. He nodded, rolled up his sleeve, and watched the nurse label the vial in careful print. He did not imagine outcomes. He followed steps. He left by a side door and walked through a small park before returning to the office. He did not touch his phone. He did not open the old storage box. He sat at his desk and did the next right task in front of him. Back at the apartment, the triplets packed lunches, checked bus cards, and left for school in their usual small hurry. Lena watched them go and felt something lift in her chest. It was not joy. Not yet. It was not fear either, not like before. It was a clean space made by the truth finally standing up in the same room as all of them, even if the truth did not have a name yet. She poured tea. She checked the calendar. She went to work. The week moved. Ose filed his report with the new judge. Carla prepared a short summary for the new courtroom. The school counselor updated a letter with a kind extra line about resilience. The neighbor promised to be a witness if needed. The librarian slipped another binder clip into Maya's hand for luck. Small kindness stood up around the family like posts holding a simple fence. On the evening before the new hearing, Lena placed the blue binder on the table and invited the triplets to add anything they thought was missing. Micah slid in a new page, a list of the chores he had kept up with and the dates. Maya added a calendar page with check marks for wake time, bus time, homework time. Mina printed a photo of the corner shop owner waving and taped it under the community tab. Then Mina hesitated and looked at the street fair photo. She thought of the judge's face when he saw it. She did not remove the photo. She smoothed the page and let it be. The past was part of the full story, whether or not anyone liked it. They went to bed early. Morning would come with a bus, a hallway, a new courtroom, and a new judge. The truth would walk in with them, steady on its 2 feet, holding a binder under one arm and years of ordinary love under the other. Whatever came next, they would meet it together. Tuesday's new courtroom felt brighter. Sunlight came in through tall windows and fell across the wood tables like neat rectangles. The room was smaller than Judge Hart's courtroom, and it made voices sound closer, kinder. A new nameplate sat on the bench, Judge Priya Patel. She entered with a calm face and a careful step, glanced at everyone, and smiled once as if to say, "Let's do this clearly." The clerk called the case. Carla stood. Ose sat forward with his folder ready. Opposing counsel straightened his jacket. Lena folded her hands to keep them from fidgeting. The triplets sat behind her, the blue binder on Mina's lap like a shield and a map. "Good morning," Judge Patel said. "I've read the file. I understand there was a recusal. Thank you for your patience. We will start fresh but not from zero. I have Mr. Mensah's report, the home study, and school letters." She looked at Carla. "Miss Ruiz." Carla stepped to the lectern. "Your Honor, we ask that the children remain with their mother. The concern that started this case, a broken refrigerator, was addressed the same day. The home study found the apartment safe and organized. The guardian ad litem recommends supportive services, not removal. We ask for rent and food assistance, brief check-ins, and closure when the caseworker is satisfied." Judge Patel turned to Ose. "Mr. Mensah, do you stand by your report?" "Yes, Your Honor," Ose said. "The home is stable. The children are thriving. Support would help, removal would harm." Opposing counsel rose, less smooth than last time. "Your Honor, out of caution, we previously requested temporary placement. In light of the new judge's review, the guardian's report, and the home study, the agency is willing to proceed with in-home services and supervision rather than removal. A small breath left Lena's chest. Maya felt it and sat a touch taller. Micah's shoulders softened. Meena pressed the binder edge with her thumb like a button that steadied her. Judge Patel nodded. Good. Then let's make this simple and concrete. She spoke in clear steps, like a recipe. 1. Children remain with their mother. 2. Immediate referral for rent assistance and food vouchers. 3. Caseworker check-ins twice a month for the next 60 days. 4. Mother will continue to maintain school attendance and budgeting plan, which she's already doing. 5. The court will review in 60 days for possible closure if all is well. She paused. Everyone understands. Carla, yes, Your Honor. Opposing counsel, yes, Your Honor. Osei, yes. Judge Patel looked at Lena. Miss Brooks. Yes, Your Honor, Lena said. Her voice was steady and small at the same time. Good, Judge Patel said. Keep doing what you're doing. You've shown care and order. The court recognizes that. We are not here to break good patterns, we are here to support them. She gave one more practical note about vouchers, then said, we are adjourned. The gavel tapped once, light as a knuckle on a door. In the hallway, they did not rush. Relief is a quiet thing when it comes after weeks of tight breaths. Carla turned to them. This is the outcome we wanted, she said. Let's follow through on the services. Keep the binder updated. Answer calls. In 2 months, we'll ask the court to close the case. Thank you, Lena said. She meant it with her whole body. Osei shook hands with each of the triplets. You handled yourselves with honesty and care, he said. That matters. They walked out into noon light. The bus arrived as if it had been waiting for them. On the ride home, the city looked softer, like when you wipe fog from glass. They did not speak of celebrations. They spoke of dinner, homework, and a bag of rice on sale at the corner shop. Steady plans. Steady steps. Across town, in a small clinic office with blinds pulled halfway, an envelope slid across a counter to a man with careful hands. Daniel Hart thanked the technician, stepped outside, and opened the paper alone on a quiet bench. He read the line twice, probability of paternity, 99.9%. The sentence was short, but it tilted the ground. He closed the envelope. He did not sit with feelings. He sat with actions. He called his personal attorney from the bench. I have results, he said. I want to disclose properly. The attorney spoke clearly. We will file a notice through counsel to the mother's attorney. You will offer to be joined as a party for the limited purpose of parentage, support, and any future contact, subject to the family's consent. You will also notify the court administration, not the judge, of the conflict you discovered and the steps you've taken. Do not reach out to the family directly. I understand, Daniel said. Within a day, a courier delivered a sealed packet to Carla Ruiz's office, lab certification, chain of custody papers, a letter from Daniel's attorney. The letter was plain and careful. It said that Daniel had recused at the first sign of a possible connection, that a private test now suggested he was the biological father, that he requested no role in the current neglect case, and that, if appropriate and if the family wished, he was willing to be added to a separate parentage action, accept child support obligations, including retroactive support as allowed, and follow any gradual contact plan the court and the family considered healthy. The letter also noted that Daniel had asked to be rotated off the family docket pending an ethics review. Carla read the packet once alone, then again with care. She called Lena and asked to meet at the library after school. She brought a box of tissues, not because she expected tears but because tissues mean, take your time. They sat at the same back table where the binder had begun. The triplets took the 3 chairs on one side, Lena and Carla faced them. Carla placed the sealed envelope on the table. "This is sensitive," Carla said. "Judge Hart now just Daniel handled it through lawyers and not through the court. He took a DNA test privately. The result says he is most likely your father. He has not asked to change this case. He has not contacted you. He is offering to step in only if you want to address parentage, support, or contact in a separate process. We can also choose not to do anything yet." The table held stillness like a bowl holds water. No one cried. No one laughed. Their faces moved through surprise, caution, and thought. Maya was first. "What happens if we do nothing?" Carla nodded. "If you do nothing, nothing changes right now. You continue with services. The case may close in 60 days. Parentage remains legally unknown. You can revisit later." Micah asked, "What happens if we do something?" "We could file to legally establish parentage," Carla said. "The test result makes it likely the court would confirm. Then support would be ordered. Contact would be your choice and can be gradual letters first, supervised meetings later, or a simple plan like attending school events in the back row and leaving quietly. You set the pace. The court would protect that." Mina looked at her mother. "What do you want?" Lena looked at her children for a long second. "I want you safe," she said. "I want the truth to be on paper, not just a feeling in the air. I want help if help is offered in a clean way. I don't want our life to be pushed or rushed. I want choices in our hands." Maya opened the blue binder to a blank sheet and wrote at the top, "Next steps options." She made 2 columns, "Do nothing now / start parentage process." Under do nothing, she wrote, "Keep life steady, revisit later." Under start, she wrote, "Truth on record, support, boundaries." She drew a small box next to boundaries and colored it in. She liked boxes. "Can we start small?" Mina asked. "Like a letter?" "Yes," Carla said. "If we proceed, we can request that any first contact be in writing, through me. You can read when you're ready. You can write back or not. No one shows up. No one calls. Everything stays polite and slow." Michael looked down at his hands. "If support happens," he said, "does that mean we owe someone something?" "No," Carla said. "Support is a duty adults owe to children. It is not a trade. It does not buy time. It pays for shoes and books and bus cards. It is math, not a string." They were quiet again. The library hummed around them, printers, whispers, a child giggling at a picture book. Life continued at normal volume while their own lives changed shape on paper. "Okay," Lena said at last. "We will start. We will go step by step. We will keep school and dinner and chores the same. We will ask for letters first. We will set clear rules. If we don't like the pace, we will slow down. We will not let this case swallow our days." Carla nodded. "I'll file a simple parentage petition with a copy of the test results. We'll ask for a case conference with a family mediator so the first rules are written down. We'll state that contact begins with letters only. If you change your mind at any time, we adjust." That night, at home, they ate lentil soup and bread. The blue binder lay open on the table with a new tab, Parentage. Micah wrote a small checklist: ask Carla about mediator, ask for letters only, no surprise visits, support goes through the office, school stays first. Mina added a line: we decide how to tell our close friends if at all. Maya drew a clean timeline: today file, next conference, later maybe meeting. Lena watched them work and felt proud and scared in equal measure, which sometimes add up to the same strong feeling, ready. Across the city, Daniel read his attorney's draft again to be sure it was just facts. He added one sentence at the end and then removed it. He did not want his feelings on official paper. He signed where he needed to sign and sent it back. Then he wrote a short private page he did not send to anyone. I will follow rules. I will not rush them. I will accept the shape of whatever they choose. My job is to show up when allowed, step back when asked, and support without strings. He folded the page and put it in the storage box with the silver leaf memory. Then he called the court administrator to confirm his rotation off family cases and sent a note to the ethics office offering to answer any questions. He washed the dinner plate in his sink and took a walk where no one knew his name. 2 weeks later, they all sat in a small conference room at the courthouse, not a courtroom, just a room with soft chairs, a box of tissues, and a plant that leaned toward the window. A mediator with gentle eyes introduced herself and set ground rules: respect, turn-taking, no surprises. Carla sat next to Lena and the triplets. Daniel sat across the table with his attorney. He did not look at the children too long. He looked down when he felt his eyes go bright. The mediator opened a blank form. First contact, she said. What would feel safe? Letters, Maya said. Through our lawyer. And frequency, the mediator asked. Once a month, Micah said, so school stays calm. Topics, the mediator asked. School and normal life, Mina said. No big promises. No pressure. Lena added, no showing up at our home or school. All support payments go through the office, not directly to us. Daniel said, yes, to each item as it was spoken. When it was his turn, he cleared his throat. I will follow your pace, he said. I will not call or visit without permission. I will make support payments on time. I will not ask for anything in return. I will answer any questions you have, when you want to ask them. His voice was quiet. The mediator wrote, Father agrees to boundaries. They all signed. The mediator made copies and passed them out. Paper can carry heavy things if the words are right. Outside the conference room, the hallway looked ordinary. People walked by with coffee cups. A custodian pushed a cart with a small squeak. The triplets stood together and breathed. Lena squeezed their shoulders one by one. They had not solved everything. They had not even named everything. But they had turned the next page slowly and kept their own hands on the edge. Back home, life resumed its steady rhythm: school, work, bus, dinner, sleep. A white envelope arrived at Carla's office with the first letter inside. Carla called Lena and asked when she wanted to read it. Saturday morning, Lena said, after breakfast, when the table is clean. Saturday came. They cleared the dishes and wiped the crumbs. They sat at the table as if it were another small courtroom where truth could speak without noise. Carla handed over the letter. Lena unfolded it and read out loud. The words were careful and simple, about books he liked at their age, about a park near the old coffee shop, about a leaf-shaped pendant he bought at a street fair long ago and the joke that went with it. There were no promises. There was a line that said, I will respect your yes and your no. I am here, at the speed you choose. When she finished, no one spoke for a moment. Then Mina said, okay. Micah nodded. Maya slid the letter into a clear sleeve and added it to the new tab in the blue binder. She wrote a title above it, Letters Start. Outside the window, a bus sighed at the corner. The city kept moving. Inside, 4 people sat at a table, and the air felt lighter than it had in many weeks. They had chosen a path with rails under it, support without strings, truth on paper, steps in order. The next part would still be hard sometimes, but it would be theirs. 60 days passed like slow steps around a lake. Each day looked simple from the outside: school, work, bus, dinner, but inside every day carried a small task that mattered. The caseworker came twice a month. He checked the fridge, glanced at the smoke alarm, and asked short questions. He wrote notes and always said, Thank you for your time. Ose visited once and waved to the librarian when he saw her smile at the triplets. The rent help arrived on a card that Lena kept in a zip pouch. Food vouchers came too. She used them without shame. They were part of the plan. She did not let pride stand between her children and a full pantry. The blue binder kept growing in quiet ways. Maya printed a simple budget and marked paid dates with a tidy check. Micah added a line each Sunday: smoke alarm tested, pantry shelf tight, door hinges fine. Mina taped a photo of steamed rice and lentils with Wednesday dinner scribbled under it, as if a normal meal could be an exhibit for the truth. It could. Letters started to feel normal. Once a month, a white envelope went to Carla's office and then to their table. The letters were plain and careful. Daniel wrote about books he read at 14, about mistakes he made and how he fixed them, about the first time he learned to argue a point and not a person. He wrote one short paragraph to each child without naming what he guessed about their strengths. He kept the same order every time: Maya first, Micah next, Mina last, because habit is a kind of promise. He never asked for more than they offered. The triplets wrote back carefully. Maya asked about time management in hard weeks and how to keep a planner that did not become a guilt list. Micah asked how to stay calm when small things broke, like a hinge or a plan. Mina asked about debate and how to stay kind to a person while taking apart their idea. They kept their letters one page long. They never promised a next step. They did not say see you soon. They said thank you, we are okay, and this is how our school project went. Simple words that moved a little bit of trust across a table made of paper. One afternoon, a letter came with a copy of a bank form. Daniel had set up a college savings account in the children's names. It was not big. It was real. The payments would go in monthly through the agency, not by hand. The letter said, "This is for your future books and bus passes when you walk on a new campus one day. You owe me nothing for it." Lena stared at the form for a long time and then put it under the new tab called Support. She did not frame it. She did not talk about it like a miracle. She treated it like what it was meant to be: help that did not change who led the home. At school, the triplets stayed steady. Maya ran a small study hour in the library where first-year students asked her how to keep track of homework. She taught them to fold a page into 4 boxes and look at the next step, not the whole mountain. Micah joined a repair club that fixed wobbly chairs for classrooms and taught younger students to use a screwdriver without stripping the head. Mina won a debate round by opening with a soft line: "I will argue the idea, not you," and the room got quiet in the best way. Teachers wrote small notes for the binder without being asked. The counselor added, "They model quiet leadership." Near the end of the 60 days, the caseworker came with a different energy. He looked around the apartment and closed his notebook with a gentle snap. "I see routine," he said. "I see food, schoolwork, clean clothes, and kids who answer questions like a team. My report will say what it should say." 2 days later, they went back to Judge Patel's courtroom. The sun fell across the same wood tables in the same neat rectangles. The room felt like a place they knew now, like a train station where you already learned the signs. Carla stood with the binder. Ose stood with his report. Opposing counsel did not push. Judge Patel looked over the papers for one quiet minute, then looked up. "Miss Brooks," she said, "you have kept a steady home. The children are doing well in school. The fridge problem is past and fixed. Services were used well. There is no pattern of neglect. The court finds that continued court oversight is not necessary. This case is closed." Lena did not cry. She breathed out and gripped the table once and then let go. The triplets did not cheer. They smiled with the kind of smile that feels like sleep after a long day. Carla squeezed Lena's shoulder. Ose gave a small nod like a bow. Even opposing counsel seemed lighter, like someone relieved to see the system work in the kind way it should work more often. Outside the courthouse, the street was bright. They walked to the bus without hurrying. On the ride home, they spoke about dinner and a math quiz. They did not mark the day with a cake. They marked it by putting the court papers under the resolution tab and by leaving the binder open on the table as a reminder of what truth can do when it is collected with care. Across town, Daniel received a short note from the ethics office. It said he had acted promptly and correctly by recusing and by not using his position. It said he would remain off the family docket for a time, which he had already chosen. It said, in dry words, that the wall between his work and his personal steps was intact. He closed the email and felt a quiet gratitude for rules that keep doors clean. Weeks passed. Letters continued. One day, Maya wrote that her school was holding a civics night, and teams were showing projects about how systems work. She asked Daniel if he had ever presented to a room where people were nervous to listen. He wrote back, yes. I learned to begin with something true and small. A room understands small truths first. Then he added a second line for all three, if you present, you can use this one, bring receipts. It makes people smile, and then they listen. The Civics Night project took shape around the blue binder. The triplets made a poster with the title, How to Speak Up, A Family's Plan. They used copies, not originals. They taught classmates how to make a simple binder with 5 tabs: school, home, health, money, community. They explained a timeline on one long strip of paper that curved like a river around small drawings of a fridge, a bus, and a judge's gavel. They did not name their own case. They taught the method and let the method speak for itself. On the evening of Civics Night, the gym smelled like posters and markers. Parents walked around with paper cups. Teachers gave out stickers that said "Good question." The triplets stood tall and took turns explaining. Mina opened with a calm hook, when life is loud, paper can speak softly and clearly. Maya held up a sample tab. Micah showed how to label a photo with date and purpose. They practiced 2 times at home and once in the hallway, and so their voices felt like shoes that fit. At the back of the gym, a man stood near the bleachers. He did not come closer. He kept his hands in his pockets. He wore nothing that would make anyone stare. He watched the triplets speak to a crowd that leaned in, and he looked at the clock when it was time to leave. He had written and followed the rules they all agreed to: letters only, no surprise visits, no standing too close. He left before the tables were folded. He did not know that Mina saw him by the door and that she was the one who watched him follow the rules and felt safer because he did. Later, at home, Lena and the triplets ate late soup and laughed about the stickers on their sleeves. They did not talk about the man by the door. They did not need to. They knew what they were ready for and what they were not. A slow yes is still a yes. A boundary can be a bridge if everyone keeps their feet light. Summer inched closer. The letters, steady as months, built a thin but real path. One day, Mina wrote, we might be ready for a short meeting. 30 minutes. A public place. Mediator or lawyer present. No gifts. No photos. Just hello and maybe a story. Maya wrote the same idea in her own words. Micah added 2 lines, I might not talk much. That is not anger. That is me. Carla carried their words to the mediator. Daniel answered with a simple yes and did not add a single extra sentence. The meeting was set for a small room at the community center, the same one where Ose sometimes visited after-school programs. The room had a window and 4 chairs and a plant that refused to die even though no one remembered watering it. On the day, they arrived with small backpacks as if they were going to a study session. Carla sat to one side like a quiet anchor. Daniel entered with his attorney, sat, and looked at his own hands to stop them from shaking. He followed the rule he had written for himself months ago: show up when allowed, step back when asked. Hello, he said. He did not add names. He did not say my. He did not reach forward. He sat with the simple word and waited. "Hello," the triplets said, almost together. The sound of three voices at once surprised everyone into a small smile. The mediator smiled too and made a note, "Good start," shared hello. They talked about safe things, a book that turned out to be funny when it looked serious, a park where the light hit one bench in a way that made reading easy, a strange bus route that always seemed late on Thursdays. Daniel told one simple story about the street fair long ago and how the leaf pendant had felt like a small bright thing in a season of heavy work. He did not say anything about regret. He did not ask for anything. He did not try to be closer than the rules allowed. When the 30 minutes ended, he stood and waited for the mediator to signal. The mediator did. He said, "Thank you for your time." He left first and did not look back, because sometimes restraint is the proof of care. On the ride home, the bus moved slowly through early evening. The triplets looked out the window and saw a slice of orange sky between buildings. They did not try to name what the meeting meant. They let quiet be the right size. At home, they put one new page in the binder under parentage, first meeting 30 minutes community center followed rules fine. It was the smallest summary they could write. It was enough. Months turned. Letters continued. Another short meeting came later, also simple, also bounded. College savings grew by small amounts. The binder did not need new tabs anymore. It needed only an occasional sheet that said "done" in the corner. Life kept its steady rhythm: school, work, bus, dinner, sleep. When problems came, and problems always come, they used the same method they had learned for court: tell the truth, bring proof, ask for help early, set a plan, write it down. One cool evening, the school hosted another night, this time for younger students. The triplets were asked to present again. They brought the blue binder and set it on the table like a friendly animal that had earned a nap. They had retitled it with a strip of tape months ago. The new label still made people stop and smile. It said, "How to Speak Up." Mina opened with a line she loved now, "We argue ideas, not people." Micah showed a small first aid kit and said, "Fix small things before they are big." Maya ended with the quiet instruction that started all of it: write down dates. Keep your receipts. In the back row of the room, a man listened and kept his hands in his pockets. He was there because he had been allowed to be there. He left before anyone had to say goodbye. On the way out, he passed a bus stop where a driver leaned out and shouted a joke to a friend about schedules. The city sounded normal. Normal was a good sound. At home later, Lena turned off the kitchen light and stood in the doorway for one extra second. The apartment looked the same as the first day of the case and not the same at all. It held more safety now, not because of any one person, but because 4 people had learned how to carry truth together. She went to bed without counting worries. Morning would come with the usual alarm, tea, and bus. Morning would also come with one more small thing that did not show up in photos: a quiet kind of courage that stays. They did not forget what they had walked through. They did not make it their whole story either. They let it sit on a shelf in a blue binder, ready when needed and restful when not. And when they stepped into whatever came next, tests, jobs, a new school, they took with them the simplest lesson that had changed their lives: say what is true, show what is true, and let the right people help you carry it.